Welcome to the Anti-Pattern Podcast, your ticket to the revolution in digital thread technologies. Please welcome, live from Mannheim, Germany, your hosts, Christian Muccio and Michael Fenning.
Hello, and welcome everybody again to the next episode of the Anti-Pattern Podcast here from downtown Mannheim, which is today really rainy. And I'm not sure if you forgot your rain umbrella in the morning. I brought it with me, but
luckily I have a parking space inside the building.
Yeah, he's lucky. I always have to walk past this very
10 meters of nature.
10 meters of nature. Yeah, this is unusual for Mannheim downtown, to be honest. Very good. Yeah, then again, thanks for joining us. We have today a more technical topic. We would like to talk about our latest release, 2605, and all of the different features that we have been working on the last 3 months, basically. And my idea would be for today's episode that I kind of interview our great CTO, Christian, to better understand what is it that we are now publishing in terms of functionality, what did we learn from it, and also in terms of developing it, right?
Yeah.
There is some stuff about AI, a little bit, right? But others as well. And then how do we go on from here, and what do we envision that potential customers will use it for?
Yeah, and I was really looking forward to this episode because we have a ton of really nice features. And the good thing is, and I will mention it later on a couple of times, that we really enjoying the beauty of our data model, which helps us to integrate those features very quickly, very well, and so on.
That's what we, the first thing that we learned, that I learned basically, is with that very clean and integrated data model, meta model that we have, right? Things are now getting easier and easier. We had some, it took some time at the beginning, right, to get it straight, right? But now it's actually getting easier and easier to set something on top of it, right? Yeah, fully agree. Browsing through the list of our great release 2605, I came up with 6 features. So this is also the 6 features that we will mention publicly. There's a lot of smaller stuff that we did, some bug fixes, some additional features that are not really user-facing. Maybe we talk about those things in the end as well, right? But let's start with the 6 features that are basically customer featuring. First of all, log in with single sign-on. So we already released something called the Keycloak integration. And now we said, okay, makes sense to actually add something to it. And this is single sign-on. Can you walk us through what we did there?
Yeah. So basically what we did in the first place was this Keycloak integration, which we extended to be any OIDC-based authentication system. We will, for now, use Keycloak further on, because Keycloak has a nice feature, which is federation. So you can connect any other identity access management system. For example, in our demo, we connected our Active Directory, our Azure Active Directory, so we can use the single sign-on functionality of our Microsoft 365 accounts. So I am logged in my browser, so I just hit the button sign in with M365, and authentication is done automatically if I'm logged in at Microsoft Office or somewhere. And if not, I get the Microsoft authentication window, so to say, and everything else is handled in the background.
Okay, and this is just for the people out there who are not really familiar with it. So if I have on my smartphone the Microsoft Authenticator app, this would be the one that we actually use to authenticate. Also.
For example, but you can use any other IAM system in the background.
And there's multiple out there. Like I remember Okta from the past, possible, and others. Okay. Yeah, great. So usually that single sign-on is a key non-functional feature, right? That many customers will have, right? Because you don't want to manage all the...
Yeah, but this is something I expect from cloud-native applications that they offer this.
Yeah.
Because it's not rocket science. There's so much standardized around it, so it's really easy to get this feature working.
Yeah, agree. Cool. So this is our first feature. So small one, but very important one, right?
Mhm.
And the second one would be configurable dashboards. And before you talk about it, I want to add one thing. So configurable is important. So everything we do, right? We do not want people to hard code stuff, right? We want to minimize the hard coded whatever it is, right? We want to minimize that stuff. And obviously, that also counts or also applies to dashboards. So we now have a dashboard builder integrated in the system, and with already existing multiple functionality around that topic, right? Question would be, how exactly did we do this? And what is already supported, and what do you think, in terms of what's coming up for the future?
Yeah.
What else can be set on top of it?
Yeah. So, yeah, you are right. This is a first version that we are releasing now, and this is focused on KPI widgets. So you have this empty dashboard in the beginning, and then you start to add KPI widgets, which means you are using the data model more or less.
Right.
So the thing is that you can choose from all the entity types that you're using. And depending on the type of visualization, is it a bar chart? Is it a donut chart? Is it a pie chart? You might need one or two attributes, or so to say properties in our terms.
Right.
And yeah, because you have chosen the one or the other entity type, the system proposes you to choose the correct properties to it to visualize your KPI. And that's it for it. That's so easy. Yeah. Then you can adjust it a little bit in width and dimensions and position on the dashboard. Yeah, and this is a real cool feature because it was also easy to implement. Just reusing this formal meta model and data model, and yeah, gathering the fruits from the seed, so to say.
Yep.
And what will come in future is other, let's say, visualizations. For example, those that are time-based.
Okay.
So if you want to see how many change requests were there last week, this week, the week before this week, this time-based axis is something we will most likely see in the next release, because we will combine that together with, sometimes we call it time travel, sometimes we call it baselines. So the date plays an important role on these kind of visualizations.
Okay, I see. And from what I understand, the dashboard builder is meant to be used by the admin in the moment. Do we also, or are we working on user-specific dashboards so that any kind of user, any end user can basically define its own?
Yeah, definitely. So in the end, we will have some standardized dashboards, so role dashboards, so to say, that you're seeing this dashboard because you are an engineer or you are a sales guy.
Yeah.
The others will be fixed dashboards, which are there because your admin wants you to have them.
Right.
And the third kind will be personal dashboards. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I see. So you can have multiple of them, right? It's not just one big dashboard, it will be multiple, and they're also configurable down to the user-specific level, so to say.
Exactly. And of course, we have to take care that also the rights and roles will be respected on those KPI dashboards, so that nobody can see anything through the dashboard that he couldn't see otherwise.
Sure, yeah. Makes sense. Cool. Then coming to feature number 3. So this is this needs a little, or this requires a little explanation. Upgrade entity type. So what we said a couple of podcasts ago, I guess it was last year, we said we want to also version data models, domain-specific data models. It's not that only the instances, right? If you create data sets for an existing definition, right, the data versioned, it's also that every type definition is version itself, right? And upgrade entity, and you have to explain it, is basically following that vision that we wanted to have, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And there, again, the beauty of our meta model plays a big role because we say everything is an entity.
Right.
Even an entity type is an entity, and entities can have history. And that's the basic mechanism behind it. So that means that, we can version the data model, the entity types. And that means that if you have already data in your system defined by your first version of the entity type, you might want to upgrade them to the latest version. And of course, we will make it configurable because I know there are use cases where you want to have a feature like that, but there are use cases where you really do not want to have multiple valid entity types for the same thing. Yeah, and technically speaking, we just exchange the type ID. That's the real technical mechanism behind it. The real challenge is to be aware of all the use cases or all the cases that can happen, which means one of the easiest cases is you add a new non-mandatory property. Then it's just there, it's empty. You just show it as soon as your entity was upgraded, your address was upgraded, your part was upgraded. Right. Next case is you add a mandatory new property. And this is also pretty easy manageable because you just say, okay, in that moment where the user upgrades the entity type, he gets another dialog which tells him, oh, there are new properties, mandatory, please give me a value. Okay. And the third main case is, and this is a little bit problematic, when you put a property away. Because the question is the user really aware of what he's doing? That he's really not destroying data, because I can always go back and see, oh, that was the entity in former times and it was typed differently and the information is still there. Yeah. So that's because entities are immutable, or entity versions are immutable. But nonetheless, very often you will query the latest element or you will show the latest element. And when then, in this case, something is different, something is not there that was that was there a day ago. And the users really do need to know what they do. And so I guess in these cases, we have to think about what to do. What maybe only allow a certain role of people to do that. Maybe even to make this possible via a background roll-up script that updates all entity types. So this is mostly the case where you do not want to have this flexibility user-facing.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Talking about flexibility, so what I learned from the demo that you did after releasing it, basically, so the second is, I guess it's the second case where you say, okay, I update the type definition. I say, okay, this is the new type. It's now valid from now on. And I go back to an old data set following the old type, right? Then if I say, okay, upgrade entity type, right? Then it will now, if I click that, I will now follow the next entity type definition, or the newest one, and then it will already start prompting you, oh, there was one additional mandatory field now, please give it a value, so that the data set is then consistent, right? So I did see that in your demo, so the second case basically that you mentioned, I liked it a lot. In terms of flexibility, what I learned is that means that you don't have always the case or the necessity to upgrade all existing data set at once, right? You can say, okay, for the next time I come around that particular data set, I then can choose to upgrade it or not, right? So the usual case that I know from the industry is basically, if you do something like that, you need to upgrade everything.
Yeah, and this is the big pain very often. Yeah, and this is also the case why some let's name it, PLM installations stay the same over years and decades because nobody wants to bring in this effort to upgrade everything old where you even might not know what to put in this new mandatory field.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's actually not just the behavior of PLM systems, but also ERP systems.
Mm-hmm.
So they have the same problem. They're usually 6 to 7 years behind. Most customers are 6 to 7 years behind the newest release of those systems. Talking about behavior, actually, good segue. The next feature number 4, is about actions and hooks.
Yeah.
So what is that, and why do we need it?
Yeah, this is basically the first attempt or the first part of bringing behavior on entities. And therefore, we have to distinguish between behavior that is triggered by humans because a button is clicked, and behaviors that is triggered just by events. And an event can be a creation of an entity, an update of an entity, the deletion of an entity, that you prior or later have to do some more tasks in the background, triggered by this event that something does something.
Right.
And with this, or user-facing, the actions will be the most valuable thing. Because these are the buttons the users will see. The users will get maybe a dialogue to enter something, or something happens in another system. So an action can always be an internal validation or internal execution of a Lua script, for example.
Right.
Or it can be something within our platform, maybe in a different Docker container. It can also be a webhook into a totally different system.
I see. Yeah, okay. So just to summarize, so that people, I understood it a couple of days ago the first time. So actions correspond to buttons, right? When you define, there's an entity type, it has an action XYZ, right? It will already automatically create a button with the name of that particular action in the UI, right? No coding, you configure it, right? Hooks don't have buttons, right? So they are meant for the event handling, right? In the background, basically speaking. And then below that, we have 2 things. So the operation is actually encapsulating the script, so to say. Right? And it depends a little bit if it's an executable script in the engine, or if it's triggering an external service in some other, behind another API, so to say.
Exactly.
Okay. Good. So that's in there now as well. And in other words, if you want to add behavior, right? If you say, the stuff that you guys developed is nice, but I want to have additional behaviors, right? Then I can do this by just adding actions to entity type definitions. Right. Cool. And one additional thing about that, we were talking about pre and post action or event, right? So even with the existing stuff we bring to the table, right? The existing actions we bring as a standard functionality out, right? You can add stuff to it. Doesn't mean that if you are not 100% happy with what we did, right? You have always to create something new, right? You can always use the stuff we did and just add to it, right? In the same context, right?
Yeah.
Makes it a little bit easier. Cool. Then feature number 5, extended virtual properties. So the name indicates we already have virtual properties, but we extended them. So how did we extend them?
Yeah. So the first version of these virtual properties came with the last release, which, if you remember, was the use case that inside one entity, you could grab information and put it together differently. So the example that we had, it was the address that has street number, zip code, city, and we combined it to one virtual property, one virtual string property where you have everything tied together as one field.
I see.
But the important thing is to understand that this was always in the context of the one entity. So you had to use the street and the number of this entity that you could concatenate. What we extended now is that we can now also navigate the graph.
I see.
So you can go from your your starting entity across the existing relationships to different entities and access those information.
I see.
And this is really cool because now we have, many, many new possibilities. And the example we are coming up now is a standard functionality you very often need, like a weight rollup or a cost rollup, time rollup, whatever rollup, where you always need your own value, your own. Let's take the cost value. You have your own budget and the sub budgets, and you have to sum up across a hierarchy recursively. And this is now possible. This is really cool. But this is not the end.
Yeah.
So in the next release, most likely, maybe later, but I guess in the next release, we will have dynamic virtual properties. And the dynamics come from the problem that sometimes when you update one entity, you need to know, or you want to trigger another entity to, let's say, recalculate the total mass, for example. And therefore, you need this dynamic functionality, and this will come later.
Okay, so currently it's static, so to say.
It always looks to the next, or whatever you coded. You can also go several steps across, but it always stops when your code reaches the end.
Okay.
And sometimes you need to do this dynamically, not manually.
Yeah, okay, I see. So this is extended virtual properties. In other words, traverse through the graph, jumping from one entity to the other, following a relationship.
Yeah.
And there's multiple use cases we can then support for this.
Yeah, and therefore we also extended the Monaco browser, so the code editor. So you have some kind of type ahead that you say relationships dot self dot relationships dot, and then comes up with all the relationships that are there. And
Cool. Yeah, very good. And I did hear a couple of times already. This is actually feedback from the field. The integration or the usage of the Monaco browser in the UI is actually really, really liked. Right. It's not quite yet a complete IDE. Right. That's not maybe
Not
the case. Not yet. Working on it. Yeah. Okay. But that's great. Talking about feature number 6, then AI and AI for admins. So this is actually nothing new. We already published something around this topic, right? It's just now that so we issued, or we made it public and saying, okay, this is a lab project, right? We did that just to test and see if it's actually working what we want to see there, right? And that was actually so quick that we now made it standard functionality just like 3 months later, right? And that is AI for admins, right? So what is it about?
We called it AI for administrators because, most use cases are around the work of administrators. So the one is, and we've shown that already, is the support of writing Lua scripts. There you have this nice AI button where you can describe what you like to do, what you would like your script to do, and the AI helps you with the Lua code.
Okay.
The second part is the import mapper. We have shown that a couple of releases ago, how easy it would be to map simple structures or flat structures, and that was always a drag and drop of the properties and mapping the properties. And we extended this import mapper, so you can also read in now OpenAPI definitions of foreign APIs. And with these OpenAPI definitions, you get also models, which is kind of a data model, encoded in this OpenAPI definition. And we are using these models to show the administrator, okay, these are the elements you can expect, and very often they have a couple of properties. And also in realistic cases, you will have dozens of properties also on the elevating patterns side. And there you can also get the help of the AI to map them. And this works also exceptionally well. So we tried it out with an ECR entity type on our side, and we took the GitLab.
Engineering change request, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. We took the GitLab OpenAPI definition, and there is also the issue described in it. And we told the AI, please map the issue properties to the ECR properties.
Yeah.
And it was really cool to see that it really understood, okay, issue is kind of the same, kind of a different thing of an ECR, but
Right.
mapped the elements really, really good.
Yeah, that basically brings or creates the fact or verifies the fact of what we already talked about, that we say if everything's cloud native, right? If all the tools are cloud native, connectors basically write themselves.
Mhm.
So this is
Yeah.
our implementation for this. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and the last, the third case, AI for administrators, is the chatbot kind of, chatbot kind of discussion with the AI if you wanted to extend your data model.
The AI data model, as we call it.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, and I think even you don't know it, what we added is some kind of a skill, an AI skill. So maybe those folks of you who worked with Codex or Claude Code, there you can add skills, and skills is a markdown file, and in some cases also a description of tools, which is similar to MCP. And we gave this to this AI data modeler. And so funny thing is, we can reuse the same component also for end users now.
Yeah.
Because you can not only discuss your data model, you can also now ask for entities of requirements, of parts, of everything user facing. No matter what, going back to the AI admin case, where we also extended our mobile view from our front end, which was always capable of handling desktop views, tablet views, and mobile views. And in the mobile view, you now have a take a photo button.
Okay.
And you will see that in the video of the feature. Where we put something on the whiteboard which looks a little bit like a UML model. And we took a photo of it and said, hey, dear AI, how would this look like in a data model inside this platform? And it was it was wonderful that the photo was interpreted, and you get and you will see it in the video, you get these two entity types and the relationship type, connecting these entity types. And the AI was even asking good questions because we did on purpose not say on each and every property, is it an integer, is it a float, is it a string? And even made on purpose a mistake to say, oh, quantity is an integer. And the AI was asking, are you sure this should be an integer? Isn't it much more feasible to be a float value?
Yeah.
And it asked if the recipe entity type, if it should not have a life cycle.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is the idea, to say, okay, let's take a workshop example or a workshop result, a photo, feed it to the AI, discuss the data model, also according to the current data model. This is the important part why we need these tools, that the AI can also receive the actual data model. Then discuss it, and then after the discussion is done, apply the data model, the new data model, and therefore we will talk about another feature in a minute.
Yeah, just to add to it, what I find so really, really cool about this, right? Everybody in our industry or in IT projects, IT architecture, whatever, knows that kind of situation. You're in a workshop, you have a whiteboard in front of you, people start drawing, brackets and the arrows and
boxes,
whatever. we in German we call many people we call them Kästchenmaler.
PowerPoint engineers.
Right. So with that functionality, what we did here, if you think about it, what we did is we really minimized, let's say, time from whiteboard to code. Code is not even correct because it's no code to a large extent, right? So maybe saying we really shrunk. You guys can correct me in the comments. So we shrunk the time from whiteboard drawing in some notation to productive usage of a feature, right? And usually this takes not even weeks, sometimes months and maybe years, right? And there's a lot of, failure in between, right? And misunderstandings in between. Now, if you stick to a notation, and as you said, you don't even have to be too precise.
Yeah.
Right. It will argue with you if it's really what you want, right? You basically minimize the time between concept and then productive usage.
Yeah.
To a large
extent. Yeah. Absolutely. And what we also will bring in is these modes that you sometimes see in tools like Cursor or also in other tools, that you have an ask mode, a plan mode, and an agent mode that you really can discuss without changing something. This will come in the next releases. And of course, we will work on and try out if you draw behavior to this whiteboard. Yeah. Why not creating behavioral code, so scripts, or even a Python script for customizations from a whiteboard. So this is where the journey will go on.
So just to underline, cool stuff. So this was the 6 main features that are also user or admin facing, right? And we have, yesterday we issued the first video. We will see more videos about that features. And there is, also in interest of time, maybe just a few additional things that we worked on that are not really user facing, but are also really important to understand. What would be examples of that background stuff, so to say?
Yeah, the one is that extends this AI case, because I know that many of you will have the question, how can I try out my new data model without changing the current data model?
Right.
Which means you need a kind of a branch. You need to branch your data model and try it out. And if it's good, you're merging it back into the productive system.
Right.
And this is exactly where we took prerequisites for, and it's under the hood, and the real cool features will come in the next release. But branching and merging is a big thing that we did under the hood, that we prepared under the hood, and it's also the foundation for the versioning stuff. But we will talk about that later on in a later episode. The other thing is the bulk upload. If you want to put in mass data, we have a bulk upload endpoint now, which is also only interesting for administrators, integrators, and technical people. So we did not make a video out of it, but it's there. And a feature which we thought will take some couple of days, maybe a week, took, I don't know, 1 hour, 2 hours, which is also a very technical thing. But it was really nice to see how fast we can go and how fast we can integrate these things also on a productive grade. Because it was not just put in some hours and then not tested or something. everything tested and fine. And it is the YAML notation. So until yesterday, or the day before yesterday, our API only spoke JSON, which was fine for now. But since yesterday, our API speaks also YAML if you want. And you can request it by the accept header in your request. And also, you can also put in YAML as a content type.
Right.
And yeah, it's there.
Cool. Very cool.
Within hours.
Within hours, yeah. So everything pays out if you get the foundation right. This is definitely something that I learned, right? Maybe last two questions. The other thing that we use internally, which are not really in the product, is something that we call the nurse bot.
Oh, yeah.
Can you say 1 or 2 sentences about this? What is it and why do we use this?
Yeah, this was AI for elevating patterns, so to say. Yeah, we found out that we have a couple of bugs or most likely more couple of feature wishes.
Right.
Little features, little enhancements where our backend developers say, oh, I put it on the list and good idea, and it will not take too much effort, but I have other things to do. Therefore, we have now a triage process in our GitLab where we can put in as product managers, so to say, where we can put in a feature wish in an issue and connect it or assign it to the nurse bot.
Right.
And the nurse bot will grab this issue and work on it and will create another branch, will build the feature, will test the feature. And if everything is good for the nurse bot, he will inform us and to test the feature, to review the feature. And this is really cool to see, to have another employee, so to say, an agent. It is an agent.
Right.
Doing some stuff on the code base. This is really cool.
And the idea is, of course, to use in the future that nurse bot for bug fixes, right? Even maybe have him or her look into him. Let's talk about this and have them look into the ticketing system, for example. Right?
Yeah.
If we have a ticketing system, you can review and then say, okay, this stuff is really enhancements and bigger functionality. Please do this. I'm not doing this, and the other stuff is small functionality that I can just add and propose to some engineer, and he will just accept it, right? And the other thing that I'm curious about, well, I know the answer already, but I guess the audience is curious about, what is it that we are working on for the next release in terms of big chunks, right? And there's 2 things that I'm thinking of, variability and writing rules. So this is something we don't promise that we have it in the next release implemented and ready, but this is something that we will work on over the summer, right?
Yep.
Conceptually, and then start implementing it. So what's special about those 2 things?
Yeah, writes and roles is special because it can ruin your performance if you do it wrong.
Right.
So this is why it takes some time and also some discussions with the AI how to implement that. Yeah, and of course we want to have flexibility on the one way. On the other hand, we would like to have access rights down to the property level.
Right.
And this is something that makes it a little bit more complicated, but I think it's doable. And the other one was variability, which is also interesting because we would like to put the variability or the possibility that something varies into the meta model. So every element is able to vary if you want it to.
Yeah.
Well, so everything is subject to vary, which gives us the the problem that we have to think about how to bring it in elegantly, so to say,
generically.
and generically. On the other hand, it will pay off because then if this works once, you can have variability wherever you want.
Right.
and it's just a matter of hours, days, weeks to get a even very complicated configuration management working.
Okay, cool. And we also want to add an SAT or SMT solver in the future.
Yep.
We kind of investigate that as well in the moment.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah, because when it comes to variability and variant management, right, this is also a no-brainer that we need it. The question is, how exactly do we implement this?
Mhm.
Also in the terms of the architecture. Let's see. But there will be news about this after the summer. I'm pretty sure about this. So that was basically the list, right? We definitely forgot something. I'm 100% sure we forgot stuff.
Yeah, we have so much. We have done so much stuff under the hood.
Yeah. So, but good news, a team of 2.8 developers, maybe, right? Together with a lot of AI and knowing what we want, we actually delivered with this release quite some functionality, right? Really cool. Right. With that being said, this is the last episode before my vacation. You will go to vacation a little later. We will be back because of those 2 vacations, earliest mid or late July, right?
Yeah. And I think we said this last time, but we did another episode.
So yeah, we kind of we're missing that we actually scheduled one directly 1 day before the vacation. Great. So blame on us, right? I hope I did not mention something different last time. So expect the next episode to happen end of July, right? And with that being said, this was a long episode, by the way. I'm checking the times. The first time we went over 40 minutes. Sorry for that. So people who are driving to work, right? You now need the second half of the episode, maybe on your way back. But anyway, thanks for listening in, and talk to you next time. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.